it was just weird for us because it was literally our first time doing it. We were just like, we don't know how to act. Let's just like try to have a conversation. And
Hi, guys, and welcome back to Interacts Grow podcast. It's so great to be with you as always. We are back home in our computers after just visiting the Craft and Commerce Conference hosted by ConvertKit in Boise, Idaho, or Boise. Apparently, we've been saying it wrong. That's what I heard.
It's Boise, not Boise.
I think it's with a snake, like
Boise.
like a zebra sound. It's like a. That's what I've
saying
heard.
it wrong then.
I've also been saying it wrong.
yeah,
Let us know how to actually say it. But we are sadly missing Jackie today, so she won't be able to jump in a little bit on what our recap was. But if you saw our last episode, we got to record together live in ConvertKit's new studio that they have for anyone to use if they're in town in Boise. Sorry, now it's going to bother me. I don't know what to say.
it's only for ConvertKit customers, just to clarify.
Yes, only for ConvertKit customers. Thank you, Damaris. But we got to use it while we were at the conference, and it was really cool. I remember, Damaris, we were kind of saying that we were a little nervous, and it was weird because we're so used to kind of looking at a computer or like looking at each other on a computer. But in that setting, you're in person and kind of looking at the other person back and forth.
I'm sure that's a lot more fun because it's more conversational, you know? And also, you don't bump into like talking to each other as much, you know, like here we have to wait and like, oh, did Damaris' screen light up? Was she about to say something? Like, did I interrupt, you know?
So true.
I think it's because we've gotten so used to doing it in this way that this feels more comfortable, but I can also see like people that do it live, could be comfortable for them. It was just weird for us because it was literally our first time doing it. We were just like, we don't know how to act. Let's just like try to have a conversation. But it was a really cool experience, and seemed like it was like a real cool professional sort of setting. So that was nice.
I liked it.
Does ConvertKit have a podcast?
I think so.
Is that okay? So that makes sense. But they have that set up for people to use or just to try it out?
To use, yeah, for ConvertKit customers. But they also, I believe they have like a creator, sort of like, I don't know how to explain it, kind of like a community, but like they also do, that's where they also like record their educational videos. I don't want to call it the wrong thing, but like they have like
called Mighty Networks or something like that.
No, that's a different company. But but they have like, I'd have to look it up later, but they definitely have like a creator university type of situation where they do a lot of recordings. I'll just leave it at that. They do a lot of recordings for different things like stories, videos, educational stuff, and so on.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. We're back home now. I was just telling these ladies that I still feel pretty tired, but you know, we're getting there. Today we wanted to talk to you guys about things that we learned at this conference to prepare for the next one. And this coming from like a perspective of us as sponsors, but we could also dive deep into a little bit as an attendee as well, because I think I learned a lot in the times we were not at the booth, literally just kind of walking around getting to know people. But who wants to start?
Yeah. I thought you were going to start us off, Jasmine.
I was going to start off in the sense that I haven't attended any of these conferences, and it's always interesting to hear that although there's some things that seem like they stay the same for every conference that you guys want to keep doing, but you guys always come back with something new, like, oh, at this one, we felt like we could have done this. At this one, we felt like we could have done this, which kind of like shows me that it's hard to fully prepare every detail because every conference is different. Like your approach, what you guys are doing, how you're talking to people, like it's not that easy just to make a bulletproof plan for these things at all.
I agree. And on that note, like you don't fully know like who the attendees are going to be. You don't know what the speakers, even though you have a list of what their session will be on, you don't really know what the content of that session is. And so it's really interesting at the one we went to in Dallas, right? Like a lot of it was, I think, a little bit more detailed. And here's what I do in my business to, get X, Y, Z. It was a lot more strategic. And Damaris, correct me if I'm wrong. But I felt like the sessions here had a lot more of an inspirational aspect to it, a lot more story to it, and it made you feel like ready to get home because you were so inspired by what they were saying. So it was a little different in that sense, I would say.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think for me, well, a couple of things. I think the main speaker's role, the way that I translated it, was to motivate and sort of like get people inspired in their business and how this is how I did it. And then I'm making all of this amazing either money or to have all these subscribers or their email list or whatever it was. And then I think the workshops were at the educational piece where people can actually go and learn like a very specific thing that they want to implement in their business to work on it in that moment. So it was interesting that they had like both aspects in this particular conference, which was nice to see. And the second piece to that I've learned that I'm learning as we're doing these events, it's really like a lot of brand awareness, just really getting out there and just trying to do workshops, trying to, like we did the podcast, we really have to try to like talk to as many people as we can, make not friendships, but like talk,
build
just like other
relationships.
sponsors and build relationships with people, because that's what a lot of people are there to do anyway, right? To network and do those kinds of things. So it was eye-opening that a lot of the other sponsors also had sort of the same mentality as well.
Did you guys feel like the audience at this conference was there to like only listen to speakers, or do you feel like networking was a big part of it at this one? Because I feel like the Dallas one, you guys kind of mentioned that a lot of the people there were like there to get actionable steps and like, things to like implement in their business. Do you feel like the vibe was a little different at this one?
Yeah, I think it was primarily networking.
I would
say.
Yeah, I think that we had like an overall game plan. Like I think we went in obviously like Wednesday trying to like kind of feel out how everybody's feeling and like what kind of crowd we're gonna have. And that first day we really did a good job at like talking about our workshop and like what we were going to present the following day, and trying to get as much awareness as possible so then they can remember us. And then that last day, correct me if I'm wrong, Jasmine, then on Friday it was really just more execution based. The workshop, we did the podcast, we did this, so it was interesting because that was sort of like the way that I looked at it. Obviously I didn't talk to everybody because there were so many people, but it seemed like certain people were looking for certain things for sure.
Yeah. I would say too that at least in the other two conferences that I went to, there weren't as many sponsors. And so it was really clear who was there. And because there weren't that many tables, it was a lot easier, I think, for people to want to go around and just see what was there. At ConvertKit, it was a little bit bigger and there were more sponsors. So I think for us as sponsors, something that I learned was like, well, how do we get ourselves seen so that people want to come up to the table if they don't know who we are? But also, what role do sponsors play at different conferences? Like maybe at a smaller conference, like less than 100 people or around 100 people, maybe the role there is for people to like see how can these business or these companies help my business. But at a bigger conference where there's like more than 100, even 200, 300 people, a lot of it is like, how can I meet as many people as possible? Because how can I have, as many conversations as possible? Maybe in that case, like the sponsor's role is to be available for the people who are already looking for that product or looking for that type of software system. So I don't know. That's just a personal feeling that I had, because based off of like the past conferences, I was like, oh, it's interesting. I feel like there were so many people coming up to the table. It was hard to capture everybody. But here, it was, for me at least, it was a little bit more about like going out and talking to people and then introducing myself as a sponsor.
That's super interesting. I mean, the moment that you guys got there, you had to pivot your game plan again, which I'm pretty sure happened at the last conference. So tell us a little about that. I'm curious because as someone who stays home and doesn't attend the conference, I'm just hearing the live replays of what's going on. You know, when you guys went in with a specific plan and then the day you get there, you're like, yeah, we're actually going to do this instead. Like, how did that go?
Honestly, it came from the direction of Josh, to be quite honest and transparent. We went there Wednesday. We kind of scoped out like the registration party, set up, kind of see the audience. And I'm sure he probably had conversations before that with sponsors and like different co-founders. And so the next day we all had breakfast and he just kind of told us, this is what I think we should do. Let's pivot to this. And we all sort of agreed like, okay, this is sort of like what's going on in this setting, in this moment. Let's try to do this now. And it ended up working nicely, you know, I think. And so, you know, and then obviously Jackie and Josh then went to, they did their own thing. They had like a sponsored sort of dinner situation that they had their stuff on there. We went to meetups to try to get to know some more people. It was just really, it's, I guess because, you probably can relate to Jasmine, because I always have to, these sort of events ground me to where like, I'm definitely usually a planner and an organizer for these kinds of things. But then I come to the realization that like, okay, well, there's only so much planning and organizing I can do with these things. A lot of them is just going on the whim and just doing what you can in that moment. Overall, having an idea of what the goal is and what you're trying to achieve, but like, you can't really like pinpoint little small things, you know what I mean? And so it was fun. Like prime example, you know, I remember on, oh my God, I was going to say Tuesday. We flew in on Tuesday. Thursday, when we were first of conference and, you know, we were talking to a lot of people about the workshop. I remember telling you ladies, I was like, I'll be happy if like 10 people show up to the workshop. Let's just like talk about it. Like, you know, and then the next day we were all very shocked that we filled the whole room. We were like, oh my God, this is amazing. But like your expectations are low, right? Because you really just don't know how it's going to go.
We've never done it before. So we were like,
yeah.
And when we do online workshops, it's much harder to get people to join those, even though, you know, you would assume that they would because like it's online, they don't have to leave. But at this workshop, yeah, I think like that was also, for me, I was like, well, this is crazy because we've held so many online workshops before where we're like, we got a couple people, we'll record it and send it to everyone. But here, like 50 people, 60, something around there. People were sitting on the floor in the back.
Wow.
That's cool. Which is why now that we're talking about this topic, like things that we've learned now, right now, I'm like, okay, there's that many people that we touch. Like, what can I do to email them like this week to make sure they don't forget about us, to make sure that it's still like top of mind, what we, you know, what we were trying to teach them in that moment. Because this is like brand new territory for us. We're like, right, like how can we keep them engaged? Like what do we need to do? What do we need to test? You know? And so that's why we reached out to you, Jessie. Like, who can we like help us figure this out? We didn't figure this out before because we had no idea this was going to happen, you know? Like, so learning moment for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy because, you know, on the note of like, you don't really know how it's going to go. You could be as prepared as you want, but you kind of have to just be ready to make the switch when you need to, you know, even in the moment. There's some conversations where you have to decide, would this person be a good partner or would this person be a good customer? And which is it? Or both? I don't know, you know? And how do you gear that conversation in a way that you're not putting it on one end or the other, like making something kind of set in stone, and then doing the follow-up, right? I think in the past, the hardest part for us was the follow-ups. Like, what do we say? What do people want to hear? Are they actually interested in this? Are they not interested in it? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this was the first time we did a workshop at a conference, and now I feel like if there's an option to, we should always do one, right?
Yeah.
And then it validates the point that you just said, Jasmine. It's like, okay, people are interested, like they are interested in this. People are coming up, they're showing up. Okay, cool. And we know this now because this is the first workshop. So then how can we then on the next one make sure we're like prepared for post conference, and then, you know, and all of these things that we need to have in place. You know, it's a learning curve. You're always learning something new, and it's interesting to see it live, you know?
Yeah.
I also feel like it's like different for us and our company and what we do. Cause like, let's say if you're just an email marketing platform, like that's pretty straightforward, you know? But when you say you're a quiz platform, or like, you know, they're like, like they need to see how it works or how you build one, or, you know, what does that exactly mean? And having the opportunity to show people in like a special time like that, I think that like that's something that we probably need for our customers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also, correct me if I'm wrong, Jasmine, but I feel like in conferences, even at the Creators Educator Conference too, and this conference, I'm starting to get the sense that a lot of the attendings are interested in the education piece, because that is like the one thing that they're actually looking forward to. And it could be different. Like they want to learn different things for whatever stage they're in their business, but more and more I'm now like, okay, like this is something that we really have to like hammer in and get really good at, because people are legitimately looking for this in conferences. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
so
maybe
that was
part of
nice.
that is that, like, you know, you go to a conference to learn, but you want something actionable in your own business. Otherwise, what are you spending money to attend this conference for, you know? Whereas when you have like a workshop, you're in there, even if like, let's say, you know, you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this piece, but I'm gonna refine it when I get home. Like, you're at least getting started, and you have the expert right in front of you, like in person, to ask them questions. And not that you don't learn anything from the speaker sessions, it's just that they're a lot more high level, and they're a lot more based on their own story. It's not like the workshop where it's like, okay guys, sit down, we're going to teach you how to create a quiz step by step while you're here, and you'll be done by the hour.
Yeah, the fact that everyone who attended that workshop walked away with a quiz is like a dream come true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've never had that before. You know, we've never had that like result of people walking away with like, cool, now I have this quiz. I wonder if in the past, before we had AI, all of it was coaching, and not that it, you know, we did what we could with what we had at the time, but you go through weeks of learning about you know, how to create a quiz, how to get the right result, how to get the right questions. And that itself is kind of tiring. Like, that work is just more work. And then you're like, well, how do I know this is even going to give me the results that I want? How do I know that I'm going to actually get leads off of this? Whereas now you go to one workshop, you do the quiz, and the people who went to this workshop created the quiz and also connected it. They integrated it with their ConvertKit accounts. They created the sequences. Everything was like done. And now all they have to do is launch, maybe refine, but then launch. And so that is like you're getting something out of the conference that you were, you know, ready to receive when going there. Whereas like in the past, it's like, okay, now I'm doing all this work, but for what?
Yeah. I had this lady that showed up. I had talked to her on Thursday, and I had pitched the workshop to her, and I was like, listen, just come to the workshop. I'll help you out. We'll figure it out. She was like, I don't remember her. She was like she was like the first one in the first line. She was like right there.
She's like,
anyway, it was very,
be here. I'm here.
Yeah, it was very satisfying, because she was like, you know, I've been putting this off for months. I've been like trying to work on this forever. And I was like, now like we're here, we're going to do it together. And I asked her at the end, I was like, hey, how did it go? Like, did you get what you needed? She was like, yeah, it was so helpful. I was able to just basically get it all done. I just have to do like little small pieces. You know, she was like, thank you so much. She was really thankful with, you know, with all of us, you know, even the ConvertKit site, 'cause she had ConvertKit as well. And it's like those little small testimonials, I was like, okay, like it makes you feel good. Like you're actually working towards something, and you're educating people, and you're teaching them something. And then you also have that human aspect and that human level. Like you have a face to a person, like to a company, and you actually like know somebody that works for the company, and you can reach out to them at any time, you know? And so like those small pieces all put together is what makes that element of success with those kind of environments, you know?
Mhm.
And so, you know, if anything for that, I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be really cool if we can do it like in our next one, you know? So I'm
Yeah.
excited. I like that kind of stuff. I live off of that. I love working the crowd. I was like, at first I was nervous, but I was like, all right, here we go. Just wing it, Damaris. And
You
so,
did great.
but now I'm like, let's go. No, but like, you know, it's just it's because I feed off that stuff, you know, like I love
Yeah.
seeing those reactions from people and it makes me happy. So.
Next up, stay tuned. We're just gonna have Damaris in a stadium filled with 2,000 people, and she's gonna have like,
That's
you get a
okay.
quiz, you get
Yeah.
a quiz.
The tech version of Taylor Swift sold
Yeah.
out
Imagine.
stadiums.
Okay, that's a little to you guys. Taylor Swift, yeah. She's a mega star. It's great. But you know, like it's just really cool to see it, you know, and
Yeah.
and just be there in person and it making it happen. So
I would say on the other side of, aside from like the workshop itself, something I learned that I wish we could have done was, and I mentioned this to you guys, was hire somebody to take photos and videos. Because I was trying to do it from my iPhone. It was, I don't know, it was not the greatest. I wish that I had actually had to borrow Josh's phone, and that was one of the most awkward, I think, questions I've ever asked him was, please give me your phone because he's my boss. It wasn't that awkward, but you know, it was just a weird like, give me your phone now, do it now.
Yeah.
And he was like jumping, okay, here's my phone. And then I just let that record something. Then I was trying to use my phone to get like really specific on like who was talking. But anyway, I don't know that I hope I got some good content, but I don't know like what sound it picked up. I don't know, you know, it wasn't like the greatest. If we had like a professional, and you know, you don't want to be in people's faces, but if you have like a professional camera, you can like zoom in. Usually they have like a microphone. And I think you said this, Damaris, like having someone or having a camera recording the workshop itself. And that could have been something we repurposed for, you know, online, or like we could have sent that to people rather than just the slide deck, right? Like it could have been like, wow, thank you so much for coming. Here's the whole presentation just for you.
For sure. I'm just going to pitch it now for the bosses out there. I was like, you know, for our next one, if you guys want to hire somebody to just kind of follow us around, you know, I'm down at the conference. Only just because I think Showit was doing it. It looked very
professional.
A lot of different things that you can cut in later, different aspects. We can even book ourselves every day and just do different things, but just like having that level of professionalism in the pictures and the video, I think is
for the
really,
brand, you know?
Yeah,
like,
it's important. Yeah.
To enhance the brand. I think like as we grow, you know, and continue to grow, I think it's important to remember this kind of stuff. It's important to like look back. That's why I'm always crazy on our offsites. I'm like taking pictures and videos of everything because it's nice to look back. Actually, this last week, Annie had asked me, do you have any pictures of the old office in Oakland? And I was like, God, I had selfies of myself from Snapchat. This was back in 2017, guys. And it was a different time back then. This wasn't like a thing. So I don't have anything of substance. I think she had to edit. I was like, we only have have videos of us drinking. And she was like, just send it. I'll like swap it out for coffee.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I think this is important for us to like record that kind of stuff. Like, you know, down the line, like even just look at like, here's where we started and here's where we are now.
Yeah. Another thing that I think we should also do for the next one, now that we've gone to a couple now, is have a more fun meetup. Like after the fact, like just something where people can just network and just talk naturally, and us hosting that and putting our name out there would be really cool, because a lot of people did that in this conference, and we went to a couple, and it was really cool to just be there and interact with people and not really feel like pressure to necessarily talk about like work and what you do, but it was more like organic to do it because it's after the conference and it was just a natural conversation. So that would be my third thing. So I'm just gonna leave it at three things that we need to work on. But that was a really cool thing to see, you know, and I was like, oh, that would be awesome. I want to do that in the next one. Let's do that, you know?
Right. That does segue, I think, into like what I wanted to say originally, which was that kind of pre-marketing content that we could have done, which could have been like, hey, we're going to have a meetup. You know, here's what we're going to do here. Here's what it's going to look like. You know, even for the workshop, maybe we could have done something for that. I mean, we had a great turnout, but, you know, before we actually walked into that room, we were so nervous. We were like, we don't know if people are going to come.
Yeah. Or even flyers on the day, right? Like, because I saw somebody
Yeah.
got creative with flyers and they were like giving people out flyers. And I was like, man, that's smart, man. I would have like loved to have done that, you know? Like, yeah, like just
We could even
creative.
yeah, like there was, I think too, when we were planning this sort of, you know, sponsoring craft and commerce, we knew that meetups were a thing, but we didn't quite understand what to do with that, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So there were people who had, like, they went on a hike, that was their meetup. They went on a run, they, someone did like a whitewater rafting
I
one, I
know. I
think.
wish I would have gone to that.
Wow.
No, it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I was actually speaking to a gentleman on the plane, and he ended up he was supposed to go to one meetup and it didn't work out, so he went to another one and then ended up going back to like someone's house who had like they had a huge like mansion, and they had
That's
like rock
awesome.
climbing in there, and they had like a pool. I don't even know, but
Wow.
I'm now making it, the rock climbing was one of them, but I'm making up the rest of it. But I was like, my God, where did they live? Why
Yeah.
didn't I go to that one? But it's really crazy because you just don't know who you're going to meet at these
Yeah.
conferences. But I think like being able to facilitate a space where you have an opportunity to meet people you don't know you're going to meet, like that's the big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's already like a like-minded group of people coming to a conference, so it's not like you're fully strangers. You know, there's some things that you already have in common.
I know. And I want to
Exactly.
just shout out to I think I said this in our last time, but I always Jackie's our growth manager in partnerships, and it always amazes me how she has such a sharp memory in recognizing certain people and remembering their name,
She
and then
does.
building relationships and knowing exactly what they do. I'm like, man, you were like literally in the right job. Let me tell you, because I don't know. I don't know if I would remember. I just have a terrible memory. I don't know if I would remember specific logistics of it, but she does a really great job. Um, Sort of like what some people lack, right? She's really good at this specific thing, and so like I love the partnership between her and Josh when they kind of work off each other, because it's, you know, I don't it's a really, I find it fascinating, that dynamic. I'm like, that is so, like, she's so extrovert and then Josh is different, right? So like they kind of like feed off each other in like a really unique way, and I like to see it in action. So kudos to you, to the boss, and Jackie for doing a great job on that. So that was
Yeah.
awesome to see. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
She's also really great at like knowing how to move the conversation along. I think that was something that I was learning about myself, was I was like, man, I mean, for podcasting, it's great to like just talk for forever and like continue to ask questions. But I think that like for me, I was having trouble sort of figuring out like, okay, how do like, I guess, close the deal? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like, okay, I want to follow up with you. I do want to get to know you better. But now I'm just stuck in this. I'm so interested in our conversation and I can't stop asking questions.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's hard though. It's hard to be a good closer without like making it awkward or like ending it too short.
Yeah, because I'm like,
And
I'm having
also,
such a good time.
yeah, being
So
mindful
true.
of your time and their time and everything else. A lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the same here. I even went to a conversation about like flamencos and bull riding. I was like, how did we get here? I don't even understand. Like, we started with one topic and now I'm talking about like my culture. I'm like, what? What's happening? Like, what? It was really weird, but I get
And
it. I'm the
it's
same
different
way.
it's different in person because, you know, when you do that for like, let's say a podcast right now, right? Like I'm watching the clock and I'm seeing how much time we have left. But in person, you don't have a clock to tell you how
Yeah.
long you've been
Yeah.
talking. And you're like, wow, we've been talking for an hour, which is great. You know, you want to be able to network with as many people as possible and you want to be able to meet with as many people as possible. But Jackie's really good at that. She's really good at like, hey, we had this conversation. It was really great. Here's what I'm going to do for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the
Where I'm like,
actionable steps to be able to
yeah,
just
where
be
I'm like,
like, this is,
tell me about your family.
yeah,
Your
no,
dog's
seriously.
name was Lucy, right?
My God, it's shocking. I'm like, that's why it was so funny. I don't know what Josh and I were talking about. And I don't know. I told him, I don't remember how the conversation started. I was like, listen, I'm like, I'll follow Jackie's lead. Listen, she'll start the conversation, she'll go on, and I'll just, whatever she needs me to do after that, I'll support. Cause I can't, even if I wanted to, I can't go that. I'm not that good. I'm like, she beats me at that, like 100%. I can't do it. I was like, I am well aware I'm an extrovert and I can do certain things, but like that ability of being that on point, that's something else. So, you know, you just kind of know what you're good at and not. So
yeah, I was gonna say, when our first conference we went to in Nashville, the Travel Bloggers Conference, shout out, it was just me and Jackie at that one, and a lot of what I learned was watching her. Like, I would watch her have a few conversations, and then I would just copy it. And I'd be like, okay. And then it gets easier, you know, and that's like where you really learn, like, oh, this is how you do it. So maybe Jackie, and what we're learning is Jackie needs to do an internal workshop.
I know.
Yeah.
On conferences. But yeah, that's how I learn. And it's like, okay, well, now I'm at my third conference. And so it feels a lot easier. But at the first one, I was like waiting for people to come to me. And then I just watched how she went up to people. I watched what she said, and I guess listened. I like listened to her spiel, and I was like, okay, I could do that. And then you just go and do it. But Jackie, what a great
Shout out.
great person. She's
Internal workshop coming soon.
I know.
She's like, I charge extra for these workshops.
Yeah. No, knowing Jackie, she's gonna be like, I don't know what I do. Like, like record me next time because I have no idea.
So
she's like, can I say that? I don't know. Yeah. But yeah. It was a great time, though. I had a really great time. Thank you to ConvertKit, who's now, Jesse, I don't know if you saw this, they rebranded to Kit.
No, I did not see that.
Yeah, check it out on Instagram. Yeah, they rebranded. So shout out to Kit. Thank you for having us and letting us use your studio for in live first recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for like the next couple conferences we're going to go to. To be honest, I don't even know which ones we're going to, and we don't want to give anything away. So stay tuned.
I'm not letting you know.
Stay mysterious.
Yeah, stay tuned for which one it is.
But also, we're going to pre-market those a little better.
We will. Yeah, we'll pre-market those a little bit better, so you will know when it's there.
For sure.
Love it.
Agree.
Any last minute thoughts, guys?
No, I mean, I would just say, like, hey, if you guys want to learn anything about like quizzes or just how to build a quiz with AI, come on to our website and let us know. We're here to help and support. And if you guys do want to see, just for me, because now I'm interested in this workshop stuff and I'm obsessed with it. If you guys are interested in seeing something like that, please let me know or what you want to learn. And I would be happy to start working on that for you guys.
Love that. Yes. Yes. And then check out the AI at tryinteract.com/AI. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.